Hey, everybody. Guess, guess who?
It's
Hey, you, got,
bobblehead Glenn again.
you can't see my arm. I'm not good at this.
You're not quite puppeteer level.
No,
You're getting there though.
this is why my career with the Muppets failed.
That must be the reason.
Yeah, that's probably it.
The one reason.
Yeah. Other than that, I was good.
You were good.
Yeah, I was in.
You would have had Jim's blessing, no problem.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's just that one arm thing that I always struggled with. It was like same thing with like basketball. The only reason that I didn't play pro was just my game. Other than that, other than my basketball game, I could have gone pro.
All the things people don't know that about you. All the
No,
things that
it's
you were almost there.
I was almost there, but just those little nitpicky things that just keep you from pursuing.
It's terrible.
Oh, well. Here I am, life coaching. I guess I'll go with this.
Yeah. All right. That was some good stuff.
That was a fun way to start.
Yeah. So we're at Ask a Life Coach, live Q&A with Glenn Ambrose. And we're going to ask some questions. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We do have a couple that we'll get to first to start us off. But hello to everyone watching. First question. We'll start with this one. My parents are in a nursing home, and I haven't been able to see them for some time. How do you stay connected with family and friends without being able to be with them physically?
Skype, Zoom, telephone.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's the easy answers. I mean, you just do the best you can with what you've got, I mean, really, that's the only thing we can do. I mean,
that's true.
That I'm trying to think if there's any type of, expansion. I mean, some people are doing the drive-bys, and waving, from the car, waving at their window, or have them brought to the front door and wave, or, things like that. You can try to call the nursing home, see if there's any possibilities for stuff like that.
It's true.
So, but yeah, it's just kind of, I think this one, because there's not a lot, I mean, I don't know. Everybody has a different relationship aspect, and needs are different. So, for me, like Zoom, Skype, phone, it'd be fine. I don't think it would be that. Whereas somebody else, it might be a problem. So, I mean, with somebody else, for somebody that this is really a problem, I mean, really, it's acceptance. We just have to be like, well, this is the way it is, because there's only so much sheer suffering that you can put yourself through because you can't visit your parent. Like, I mean, you can feel, oh, I'm sad. And you can be like, oh, I wish it wasn't this way a little. Like, you can do that a little bit, but most of the suffering, just like with everything else in life, 90% of the suffering is your resistance to what is.
Told me that many times.
Yeah. So it's just, it's just a matter of understanding that most of the suffering that you're going through isn't because you can't talk to your parents. It's because you can't talk to your parents and you think you should be able to. That's the problem, So if you just accept the reality the way it is, it's just reality. Doesn't mean you have to like it. It just means that you accept it for the truth that it is. I just can't. I can't, then it's like, well, this, white tea isn't blue and I'm angry. Well, it's, I can walk around saying that for 6 months and people would probably think I was crazy because I'm arguing with the reality of the color of a tea. It's the same thing really when you're resisting the truth. the fact that you can't see them, that conjures up its own little amount of suffering, but it's only that much. Most of the suffering is because you're saying it shouldn't be like this. I can't believe I can't see them. It shouldn't be like that. Resisting the reality. That's what's causing most of the suffering. So just practice some acceptance and stay connected in the ways you can.
So like, don't torture yourself. That's what
Right.
that sounds like.
And that's what we do. And that's one of the biggest foundational pieces of everything that I teach. Mm-hmm. It's, all suffering is resistance to what is. So it's, most of the time, if we're walking around suffering on a regular basis, it's because we're resisting the reality of a situation. It's accepting the reality doesn't mean that you like it. Doesn't mean you approve of it. Doesn't mean that you're going to stay there when you have the opportunity to get out of it. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means accepting the reality that this is the way things are at the particular moment. And that gets rid of, a large amount of suffering.
Absolutely. Got some comments here.
Hey, Sandy. Oh, yeah. Sandy doesn't usually... And Robin got my book. Nice. Sandy is usually working, so she doesn't usually able to take this in live. So she watches the replays, but she's awesome. She got that. Oh, and I have to show her by my new shirt.
Oh yeah.
I just got this new shirt a few hours ago.
What is that?
It is. I got to go backwards. G.
I saw that.
That's the only letter. The rest is symbols.
Okay,
so
good.
It stands for God is greater than our ups and downs, or God is greater than our highs and lows.
I love it.
Pretty cool, huh?
That is cool. Nice mountain and sun graphic there.
Yeah, it's
cool.
So I'm a little excited. I got a little present in the mail today.
Good for you. That's great.
My book rocks. Thank you, Sarah.
Next question is from a parent. So here's some parenting stuff.
Oh, those are troublemakers, those parents.
So this one is, my daughter is 7, and I've noticed that she's started to have a bit of an attitude issue. What's a positive way that I can correct her behavior and make sure it doesn't get out of hand?
7-year-old's got an attitude. Yeah. Well, welcome to parenting. This won't be the last attitude you see. I think, with it, there's a few things that really helped me. One is whenever I was getting frustrated as a parent, I suffered. I suffered because I resisted what was happening. But whenever I tried to control my son, and that was my main focus, it didn't go well. And I had a hard time controlling the situations. So once I stopped my focus on being, I adjusted my focus by basically going, okay, so let me get this straight. There's an adult and a child in the house. Who's supposed to be running things? The adult. Okay, so if the adult's supposed to be running things, they're supposed to be in charge, and there's a problem in the house, why am I pointing the finger at the little one? I should be pointing the finger at the one that's in charge because they're in charge. So that was me. So once I stopped pointing the finger at my son and started pointing the finger at me and going, what am I doing wrong? That's when I started finding the solutions. Because if I'm in control, then I need to, I started noticing things like, okay, I'm the problem. What have I been doing? Have I been consistent with, if I was trying to get them to do something and they didn't do it, was I consistent in correcting their behavior consistently, every time? Not and usually what I found was, if I was honest with myself, I'd look back over the previous month or two and I'd be like, Glenn, you were kind of working a lot. Maybe you were a little overwhelmed. You were a little tired. You weren't really as consistent as you should have been. remember that night you were tired and he was like, oh, can I have a snack? And you didn't feel like arguing. You were just like, yeah, whatever. That's inconsistencies. And so you haven't been consistent with getting him to do it. So sure, he's going to push. So like once I would figure out what would happen, then I would sit down and have a talk with him. And I would be like, hey, so, what's going on? And we got a little problem. And, so what I noticed, I started noticing I was getting frustrated with you. And when I really looked at the situation, I realized that it was all my fault. And now all of a sudden the kid goes, huh? Now all of a sudden the ears perk up. Wait a minute. I'm not in trouble. You're the problem. Oh, I like this. Where's this going? So then I'd be like, it was, I haven't been as consistent as I should have been. I was, we need this to be consistent, and I wasn't doing it as much as I should have. Or sometimes it was, I didn't express what I needed from you clearly. Or I just said it in passing and I didn't really make a big deal out of this, or whatever it was, whatever I needed to say to put the blame on me, wherever my shortcoming was. And then I'd be like, so, the way we do things, the way we create new habits is through consistency. So I'm going to let you know exactly what needs to be done. And, we're going to start tomorrow. And I'm going to be really consistent on making sure you do it. So, this can become a habit and we don't have to discuss it anymore. And so I'm kind of, it might feel like I'm on your ass for the next couple of weeks. I just wanted to give you a heads up. This is what's going on. We're creating a new habit. I'm not trying to yell at you every 2 seconds. It's just going to be until you fall into the habit. I need to keep correcting you to make sure that we fall into the rhythm of doing this. So, that's going to happen. And, there's the other thing I always did was natural consequences. I never punished my son. I always said that there's natural consequences in life. If you don't eat, you starve to death. When you're an adult, if you don't go to work, you don't have a place to live. It's just, it's not, big bad, somebody came and took it away from you. It's just natural consequences. All of life is like that. So we have to make sure that there's natural consequences to this. So if I tell you to do this and you give me an attitude or you don't do it, let's have a consequence that reminds you, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this. It doesn't have to be that severe, something minimal. And then if you don't do it again, then there has to be a little bit more because you didn't get the little nudge from the first little one. So it has to be a little more severe to capture your attention even more oh yeah, I really need to start doing that. And then 3 strikes, you're out. If we got to, if you're not paying attention to number 1, number 2, number 3 has got to be kind of severe. So what do you think we should use for the consequences? And I would always let him pick. He always picked much worse consequences. I mean, half the time I'd be like, that's a little extreme. Why don't we tone it down a little bit?
That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, they always pick worse consequences until he got a little older and he figured out, what I was doing. Yeah. So he figured he'd play me. And so he was like, oh, I can't watch TV for 3 seconds, and I was like, dude, I'm the parent. I'm giving you the ability to be a part of this conversation and to pick your own consequences because I'm trying to be nice and I'm trying to include you. If you want to be a wise guy, I can just pick all the consequences and not consult you at all. And he's like, oh, wait. Oh, that's no, okay. Yeah. No. I'd like to be involved in the process. I'm like, oh, okay.
Let me rethink.
Yeah. Okay. Now that we're back on the same page, what do you think we should do? So that was a lot of the stuff that I did. And, it's putting the blame on me, giving them clear information ahead of time so they can if you tell them exactly what they need to do before they're in trouble, give them clear what they need to do, when they need to do it, and how they're expected to do it. So everybody's on the same page. And then, because that's what they like to say, oh, I didn't know, and all these other things. So be clear with what you want, and then be clear on what the consequences are and what order they're going to go. And then basically it's freedom of choice, because it's more difficult for them to point the finger at you and victimize themselves and be like, you're being mean. It's like, no, we sat down, we had a conversation about this, and you agreed to it. You knew exactly what you needed to do. You knew exactly what was going to happen if you didn't do it. And you chose consciously to not do it. So you got the consequence. That's not me. That's you choosing, So they have a harder, even a younger child has the logic just isn't there. It's hard to blame me for you not doing something you agreed to. It's a big leap. I'm not saying that they'll never try. I'm just saying it's a big leap.
Absolutely.
So that's the parenting one.
There you go. We have a question here from Sandy in the comments.
She earned her question by having a Thursday off.
Yeah. She says, after experiencing a couple of not so great weeks, I've noticed the tools I once used to help me get centered and balanced aren't quite working as well this time. Could it be that I'm just exhausted, or maybe it's my unconscious ego creeping in? What's your advice for when this happens?
Yeah, I mean, you could be exhausted. I mean, hey, there's Michael and Katrina and Brian. So yeah, you could be tired. And I mean, so if that's the case, this is one of the reasons why we have to live a balanced life. We have to make sure self-care is a part of our life, because otherwise it doesn't matter what spiritual concepts you have. I mean, if you're trudging through life, just beat to hell, exhausted, worn down, I mean, good luck, so if you're exhausted, get some sleep, take care of yourself, that's priority one. But I think as soon as the question was being asked, what popped into my head is, this has happened to me a million times. Well, not that many, but like what usually happens when the tools stop working is it's because you're basically being pushed to not lean on the tools so much. So, and this happened to me quite a lot. So in different stages of my growth. So like I would get all these tools and learn how to interact with life and all this stuff. And I would lean on them, and I'd be so focused on what key went into what keyhole and what tool I used for what situation. It's almost, what happens is you fall into unconsciously kind of controlling things, and you think you know how it is. And basically you start mistaking the tool for the solution. So what happens is a lot of times the universe will up the game and go, you're leaning on your tools too much. You need to just be spiritual. You just need to be happy, and you just need to be loving. And it's like a push to get back to the basics, So it's like, basically it's the universe saying, you might use some of those tools to feel like you're close with your source, your creator, and make your life a little more manageable. But using those tools doesn't actually make you close to your creator. So it's like, just get close to your creator. It's a call to reconnect to your source. So because like, if you're like, this show is perfect because I gave parenting advice. I give all kinds of advice for all kinds of situations, and they can help life and all that. But there's nothing better than just walking in a space of pure joy, bliss, and love. Like, like if you're sitting there and you're just connected to your source, your meditations are going well, your prayers going well, you feel close to your creator, you're just in the flow of life, you're not resisting things, you're just really in good space in just about every way you can imagine. And then somebody comes in and goes, hey, the lawnmower broke. You go, that's all right. We'll get it fixed. Well, maybe we'll get a new one. It's fine. Now, you didn't use a tool. It was just that you were in good space. You were automatically capable of handling the situation. So you didn't have to go into your tool bag and be like, oh, what's the disappointment in lawn care tool? Oh, it's this one. And, so sometimes when we depend too much on our tools, the universe comes in and goes, hey, it's not about the tools. It's not about the tools. It's just about love. Everything's very, very simple. Just connect to love, stay close to your creator, be in good space, take care of yourself, just be good, and everything will go. We're so intellectual. We love leaning on tools, That's what that's part of the addiction sometimes people get when they're reading spiritual and self-help books and another one and another one, and then they listen to 32 podcasts, and then they find a new teacher, and then this one, and then they find another one, and they're addicted to learning because like they think that they're going to find the next tool. Subconsciously or unconsciously, they're waiting, and they're like, oh, like if I just knew how to handle this situation, then I'd be happy. It's like, no, you won't. Happiness, because then life will change and you'll need another tool, so don't depend on your tools that much. And that's what I've seen in my life. Whenever I start looking around and realizing the tools that were working for me aren't, it's a push to go right back to square one and get back to the basics and just go, I just need to connect with my source of love and life and just triple that. And then like in a day or two, I'm just like, I don't know what I was so worried about. That's a good question.
Yeah, it was a great question. How about this one? Obviously, yes, if anyone does have a question, we'll try to get it in. Leave it in the comments, please, on whatever you're watching it on.
Yes.
Leave a comment. We'll see it. We'll ask it.
I saw John come in from my childhood and all kinds of people. You're welcome, Sandy. Crystal. Cindy. Well, high school friends. It's cool.
Yeah. Love the live streams. I have a question. It might be a little intense, but we don't have to get too into it. There's a lot of anger right now. Because we were having a lot of fear, right? And everyone was just real scared. Now everyone's real mad about a lot of different things. About the pandemic, not about the pandemic. We don't need to go into anything. But it's very disheartening, right?
Yeah, when you focus on it, it is.
All right. So you always say that. And it's like, but I feel like a lot of people would say it's very hard not to get wrapped up.
And I would agree with them.
And it's just, I don't know.
It is hard. Of course, I've gotten sucked into some of the negativity over these last 3 months. I mean, it's popped in and I try to recognize it and pull myself back out. And I'm not perfect either, but it's not. See, like, I think the difference is like when most people get sucked in, they feel like and sometimes think that there's no other choice. They're like, well, there's bad stuff, so we have to be. It's bad, and it's just the only thing that makes sense. And it's like, well, no, actually, if you slow down a minute and look at it, it really doesn't make sense. It literally makes 0 sense to be upset right now. 0. It doesn't help you at all. There is zero benefit to getting upset. And again, it's not to say that I never get upset. Of course I get upset sometimes. And it's not to say that it's if somebody gets upset that they're stupid. No, we've been conditioned like this. Most of society functions like this. Something bad happens and everybody gets upset. That's the norm. But when are we going to stop, pump the brakes, and go, this isn't working for me anymore? Because I mean, really, and this is, if this situation is either an opportunity or it's a problem. And if you choose to look at it and get upset over it, it's simply a problem. And I don't know the last time a problem helped my life. Like I don't get happier when I'm focused on a problem. I get upset. So that's a problem. I don't want to be upset. Like, people fight for their right to stay angry. They justify it and say that it's they're supposed to be. And it's like, well, you don't have to be. Like, you're going to go through weeks of this situation, months. So you walk from, like, it's March 1st and then it's July 1st. And there's a period of time in between there. And no matter what is happening in the world, it's just what's happening in the world. If you choose to get angry over that, then you're going to fill those 3 months angry. You're going to be experiencing anger in your body. You're going to be flushing negative toxins through your entire body. Your immune system's going to be dropping because you're stressed out. It's just causing havoc. And then July 1st will hit. All that anger, all it did was hurt you. It didn't help you. It just made the 3 months miserable to walk in. That's all it did. And quite possibly got you sick because your immune system's dropped so low. So, or you can be like, practice acceptance and go, okay, this is the reality of the situation. It just is. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is. If I were God, you gotta be careful with that one. If I were God, I wouldn't choose this. I don't know. If you had God's perspective, maybe you would choose this.
Yeah.
We're
not supposed to know, right?
Yeah. Let's just say we have our perspective and we're playing God. Okay. So from my limited perspective, and the powers of omnipresent God, I would not choose this. Okay. So you wouldn't choose this, but last I knew you weren't God, so it's not your choice to make,
right?
So resisting it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't benefit your life in any way, shape, or form. All it does is it's detrimental to your life. So and it's the biggest thing people get confused with this argument is action. We're so trained that suffering and misery causes action. Like, it's in school, our parents, we don't do what we're supposed to, we get punished. Then they'll change, It's that, so we're so conditioned to that mentality. We think we have to be angry, upset, and miserable in order to choose something different. And we don't. We can be sitting here going, I am completely fine with the situation that's happening. I don't like it. I wouldn't choose it to be happening, but I fully accept that it is happening. Now, what action can I take? You actually take better action from that state of mind because you're clear thinking. You're not all wrapped up in the emotion. Your brain isn't filled with anger, which makes it close down and think less effectively because it's trying to push you into fight or flight. So your brain is actually functioning at a better place and you can make more logical decisions and you can be like, okay, well, for me, I think I'm going to wear the mask and then I'm going to do the glove thing and I'm doing a hand sanitizer thing because this is what I believe and I think this is the appropriate action and that's what I'm going to do. So then you follow through with that action. Like you can still be careful, you can still be safe, you can still do whatever you think you're doing, even at a higher level, because a lot of people, like what people were doing, the stockpiling, the toilet paper, running around and Like if nobody has left your house, you don't have to sanitize everything.
I feel like this whole thing is just you yelling at me.
I forgot that you would even ask the question.
Yeah.
People were going, like, people were at home
completely isolated,
and they're saying their hands were raw from washing them over and over. That is not using your brain, because that's illogical thinking. It doesn't make any sense. There's no virus there. Where did it come from? Like, it's not in your it's not in your house. If nobody left and you're all alone, then why are you washing your hands 30 times a day? It's, it's not doing anything.
Something else going on there.
Right. When this first started, I think people were diving into that because of the fear, which anger does the same thing. Anger is just a version of fear.
Well, fear or love is the two.
Right. Fear or love. Those are the only two. Love is the foundation of everything good. Fear is the foundation of everything bad. And I know anger. Some people are very sad because that's their go-to. My go-to was anger. Mm-hmm. So I even got, many years ago, I got extremely, extremely sad about a situation. And all of a sudden I saw it. It just shifted inside of me to sheer rage. And like, I was freaking cuckoo for a few seconds. And then all of a sudden I snapped out of it and I was like, what was that? And I was like, oh my God, I couldn't handle the sadness. So it just transmuted it into sheer rage. I was comfortable in rage. Yeah. Like, that's my go-to. I lived there for years. I lived in rage for 20 years.
But sadness,
and anger, but sadness was like, it was overwhelming. My body couldn't even handle it. So it just, shifted it right into rage. And I was like, oh, this is comfortable. I know what to do with this.
That's where I live.
This is my home. Yeah. Where can I go? Now I just need somebody to take it out on. Oh boy. Yeah. This is my forte.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's that.
Okay. Well, I think that's our time.
Yeah. Yeah. So fun as always.
Absolutely. So
thanks for filling in, Dave.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for everyone watching. Every Thursday at 6. Get your questions ready.
Yes, be here or BL7.
That's right.
Square.
Add that to the shirt.
Yeah. I'll put L plus 7 equals square.
All right.
Wow. See, I got to sell rides inside my mind.
Oh yeah.
I've been saying that since I was like 16. Like,
that's a good saying.
Yeah, I could sell rides inside my mind.
How tall do you have to be to ride inside your mind?
No height limit. I was a short kid growing up, so I'm not going to put that stigma on you poor short people like me.
All right. Well, thank you, Glenn.
Yes. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, everybody, for watching and sending in the questions. It was fun. And go get your God is greater than the highs and lows shirt. I kind of had to make it, so I don't know where you can get them, but whatever. Good luck. I'll give you something to do while you're home doing nothing.
There's an activity.
Yeah, there's a family activity. Everybody gets computers and you figure out how to get one of these shirts first.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And we'll talk with you next week.